isolating the gamers from the game and then being surprised that the gamers are not buying the game, and then the gamers are again the problem for not buying the game, even though the gamers should not buy the. I'm a bird, mother. I'm a bird. Sweet Baby Inc. just went full mask off.
Yeah.
So just yesterday, I talked about how things look like they're collapsing for Sweet Baby Inc. As it seems like they're losing some major clients. People affiliated with them are struggling to find work because devs don't want to hire them because of their SBI affiliations. And some of their biggest offenders are on the verge of going out of business, looking very likely to be shut down. And now we got some breaking news that Sweet Baby Inc. is going full mask off, talking about like burning the entire industry into the ground. Well, a lot.
We all knew that already.
Yeah.
Now they're just confirming it.
Yeah.
The games that they've been working on have been complete flops. So I guess they're happy about that. Anyways, we'll talk more about all of that in this video once we get to those portions of the Park Place article that we're going to go over that talks about this entire thing. So let's get started. They say Sweet Baby Inc. employee admits goal is quote unquote burning the games industry to the ground. So they give us some.
Like, this is absolutely not surprising with how they kept on saying that, oh, the gamers are the problem, people who play games are the problem, basically isolating the gamers from the game and then being surprised that the gamers are not buying the game, and then the gamers are again the problem for not buying the game, even though the gamers should not buy the. It's just so on the nose with this coming out now.
Yeah, they've been kind of just saying it without saying it, but now that they came out and say it, it always made sense.
Yeah.
With the way they were working.
More information about this Sweet Baby Inc. employee, apparently named Cameron Wild, claiming to be non-binary, and once again giving us that quote. In a prison.
What does that have to do with the interview?
I don't know.
You don't see me in the past showing up to interviews and being like, I'm LifuLifu, I have a vagina.
It has nothing to do with it.
I'm LifuLifu, I'm pansexual, and I play games. What does that have to do with anything?
It doesn't make sense.
Presentation titled How to Get Away with Murder Subverting Genre Expectations at the Game Developers of Color Expo, discovered by YouTuber Kirsch. Wild introduces himself saying he is a narrative designer and sensitivity reader with a company called Sweet Baby Inc. Here we go. Wild, who according to Moby Games worked on, oh my gosh, Tales of Kenzera Zhao, SSK the JL, Alan Wake 2, The Crew Motorfest, Kingdom 80s, is that 80s right there? And Ragnarok, then declared, the stories we tell each other are way more than entertainment. They are how we create, debate, and preserve our collective values and beliefs, and we can and should make more expansive, more representational content. Okay, so this is hilarious. Tales of Kenzera Zhao. You might have seen my segment talking about the dev's statement addressing gamers, where I pointed out a number of issues with the statement, some things that really come off as gaslighting, as being manipulative. For example, his claim of like putting the game on sale specifically for gamers, but then it came out that the game was just doing so bad the studio would have to lay people off, and they did lay people off.
Aren't they doing the same thing with Dragon Age now that they are trying to do the whole mind trick and manipulating the numbers of the pre-sales? Supposedly that happened. Do not take my word for it though. I might be lying out of my ass. But supposedly Dragon Age Wailguard is exaggerating how much people are actually buying it in the pre-sale.
So, he was trying to phrase it like, oh, I'm so generous, guys. I'm going to put this game on sale just for you. And it's like, nah, your game wasn't selling. You're probably putting it on sale because it's like the last thing you can do to try and save your company. But no, he tried to manipulate people into buying the game. There's a whole bunch of stuff, in my opinion, this guy was saying that, to be quite frank, he's a good speaker. But if you actually like read between the lines and look at the facts around the situation, very manipulative statements, in my opinion. But that's a whole other story. Point is, it's funny that this person apparently helped work on that game. I say help very loosely here, I guess, because once again, that game was a disaster. It was so bad that they laid people off almost instantly after the game came out. It was like a month or two later. And that studio very well may never release another game again. Then they talk about SSK the JL. We know what a disaster that's been. And Alan Wake 2, by all reports, seems like it's been financially underperforming as well. Anyways, continuing, they say in the next slide titled, "Cool, so why am I here?" One of the bullet points states, quote, "Burning the games industry to the ground. We want cooler stories, a safer world." Burning the games industry to the ground.
How does that make sense? A safer world, but at the same time burning the games industry to the ground. Like, am I missing something? Like, are they like playing chess while my teeny tiny brain is still playing checkers or something?
They want a safer world. So they think that games are bad for the world?
Safer world, burning the games industry to the ground. Now, I do think that the AAA industry has become so greedy and predatory that a AAA, specifically AAA crash, could arguably be a good thing. However, I also don't think that's what this person is referring to. In the next slide titled, "So why am I still here?" one of the bullet points states, "To prove that space where whiteness doesn't have to live is where some of the best stories are told."
To prove that space where whiteness doesn't have to live is where some of the best stories are told. I'm trying to process that sentence.
That was the most racist thing he said.
Brother, what? Okay. Yeah.
I don't know if they know this, but majority of people who buy games are in the Asian region.
Asians to white, apparently.
Yeah.
Wild explained, "A lot of us who are really fighting for more inclusive games and storytelling don't have a choice when it comes to discomfort. A lot of us who are just existing don't have a choice, which makes this really hard often. But recently I started realizing that discomfort, or the place where whiteness doesn't have to live, is where some of the best stories are told, and it's where genre storytelling lives." This sounds like a whole lot of nothing. Like, sounds like some brain rot stuff, man. Like, stop saying this terminally online nonsense and just make good games. But I guess
this is how you know they're constantly on Twitter with half of Twitter accounts being blocked already, and they just have their specific echo chamber. Because this is just them regurgitating each other's words.
They're literally in their own echo chambers and they're just like jerking each other's off. Like, it's so stupid.
when they're incapable of doing so and they hate the industry and they hate gamers and all that, this is the sort of slop that they resort to. Some may call it a grift, some may even call it a con. Later in the presentation, Wild explains why Blazing Saddles is his favorite film, saying, "The reason why I love it, beyond some truly Mel Brookson slapstick humor and fart jokes, Blazing Saddles is extremely aware of social inequality and finds its humor in that darkness, which means I can laugh in a way that is cathartic. It's a movie that isn't making jokes about me, but for me, and I think that's really awesome."
Oh, this person is having a very sad life.
Very, very sad life. Mentally unstable for sure.
And by the way, what they're doing, I wouldn't call it a grift. What they're doing, I would call stupidity. Downright criminal stupidity. It's one of those instances where you're so dumb, you should literally be isolated from people.
Because you can just tell in the text, but it's also a fact that Brooks worked with black writers to make sure the jokes came at the expense of whiteness and chipped away at an absurd social hierarchy. It's deliberately and unexpectedly a narrative that contributes to the liberation of people like me. It isn't respectful, it's offensive. But yeah, it offends the right people, which is to me the point of truly incisive, intentional genre work. Bro actually talks about wanting to offend white people while he's done more harm to black people. Like, once again, that entire Zhao situation. In one ironic moment during the presentation, Wild did share a nugget of truth. Ultimately, if you're telling a story that misses its audience, that doesn't ring true or fails to cut in the right direction, the problem isn't that it's just insensitive. The problem is it's bad. However, he then points to Django Unchained being an example of this. While explaining his point of view, Wild stated, "So a context-free version of art is supposed to make people uncomfortable. As an author, Quentin Tarantino feels like someone who grasps after edginess when they don't really have any human tragedy to explore the depths of. They don't understand that growth comes from trauma. Sure,
Okay, now we're going after Quentin Tarantino here? Brother, what? I'm
What? Where did it come from playing like about games to about what he likes and explain his opinions on why they're wrong?
Wait, you don't understand? The conversation is about the gaming industry, but we're gonna talk about the pronouns first, and then we're gonna talk about movies. Do you really think we're gonna talk about the gaming industry when the topic is the gaming industry? Come on.
but it also comes from joy. He holds a no pain, no gain mentality that I think is unshakably rooted in in white supremacist patriarchal values.
Whoa. See, this is why you don't go full tinfoil. You never go full tinfoil. You never go full potato. You never go full mask off. This is the person that did all of that, all at the same time.
I implore, watch the movie. Well, it's like a mockumentary. Am I racist? Or, just pop in Idiocracy.
Wow. There's the buzzwords, more buzzwords. Wonderful job making your argument there. The presentation then turns into a takedown of Tarantino, with Wild stating, "I do
What
think
does he have
Tarantino's
to
work."
do? What does he have to do with the fucking interview of the game industry?
Again, you're too small brain to understand. When we're talking about the gaming industry, we need to talk shit about Quentin Tarantino because it absolutely has everything to do with what's wrong with the gaming industry. I finally connected the dots.
What the frick is your tinfoil hat right now? Because this crap don't make sense to me. There's no way. There's no way. Actually, no. There's probably like a whole
Oh my
company of them because like
god.
this person's part of it.
Okay.
At this point, I checked the title to make sure I was reading a game article. Yo, honestly, this is a game article, right? This is a game article for sure. There's no way.
Work does need to be critiqued out of existence, and that he specifically has to be addressed in any discussion of that work, because Tarantino is capable of genre filmmaking, but the genre he's chosen with Django is blaxploitation.
What? I can't with this.
There's no way. There's no way. Anyways, move on. I can't.
My brain.
Do I even have a brain to study after this? This video just killed my sense to live.
And why? I have my own pet theories. Personally, I think it's the same thing we see with any non-black creator who thinks that black people are cool, but can't really examine the covetous nature of their feelings, or their own role in black stories. People who in life met a black person that they wanted to follow, get with, or befriend, and never resolved it. The equivalent of a little boy pulling a little girl's pigtails, but it's a white filmmaker in black paint. Gosh, this guy's weird. Continuing.
What?
After about 10 minutes of reviewing Django Unchained and comparing it to Blazing Saddles, Wilde declared, "Arguably, the Django Unchained never should have existed because the truth is some stories are not yours to tell. Unless you're willing to step out of the limelight as a white person, you aren't equipped to tell the story about a black experience. However, if you are willing to put your ego aside, well, you can go ahead and make Blazing Saddles something great." He then wrapped up the entire presentation by sharing,
I just can't. This is like the stupidest thing I've ever heard. My little pea brain cannot even comprehend this.
This person needs to leave.
This person needs actual professional help.
that good genre starts with representation on the creative team. The foundations of the project must be solid. Wilde also claims that the identity of your characters, specifically your heroes, must define their challenges in the narrative, but it must also define their triumphs. Finally, Wilde claims that good genre must consider its relationship to power. The article ends by saying, what do you make of Wilde admitting one of his goals is, quote-unquote, burning the games industry to the ground? Yeah, so I feel bad for this person.
Okay.
man. They sound like deeply unhinged and unhappy, like perpetually miserable. Like simply reading all that nonsense was enough for me. Imagine actually living that life every day. And then imagine how many people just like that are at Sweet Baby Inc. So yeah, that's the article. Let me know what you guys think about that stuff in the comments. I think I said pretty much everything that I wanted to while going through it, or at the end. So I'll leave it there. As
By this point, I genuinely am convinced the way they're hiring for their company, they go to a mental institute, throw a rock, wherever it hits, that person's hired. You cannot convince me otherwise anymore. Also, I laughed so hard I pulled my shoulder again.